What's up, guys? Benji from Nikidra Gaming here with Josiah and Tyson, and we're going to show you our SA State Championship profile deck. Tyson played a slightly different version of this list, but me and Joe played the same list. Joe came first, Tyson came fifth, and I came ninth. So we'll walk you through it. Played 2 Golden Lord, because Brick's on 3, and you usually want to summon it with the trap. 3 Despots. Tyson actually opted to play 2 instead of 3. Did you want to go more into that?
Despot is, from my knowledge, it's like already playing the bad one, Despot 1, so it's just like another card you can play that's like an enabler that, like, I don't know, works with Brick. So, like, they want to stop it more so because they don't want you getting Despot 1 into play, so maybe it can like eat a hand trap or something like that.
Yeah, on the downside, it can't let you do the play the second time around if that's your second starter.
Yeah.
So
Well, no, that's the big thing, isn't it? That if you do draw this card later in the game, it's significantly worse than drawing Jet, which is why Tyson opted to play 3 Jet Synchron instead. The Despot 001.
Also, won't work if you see the 001.
Sorry?
Yeah, I didn't have that happen, luckily.
If you open 001 paired with 003, you can't combo. So
yes. Well, yeah, that's the other, the whole Garnet syndrome. Like, if you open 001 and 003 together, you will not be able to play the game. All up, I know, I thought 3 was fine. I can understand why Tyson played 2. Joe, what did you think? Would you play 2 in the future?
Small sample size, 3 was good. I would probably try and play 3 Jet first. So,
right, and maybe just play an extra starter instead.
Yeah, like ideally you play 3 of Despot, I think, but I would rather play 3 Jet over Despot if I had to pick.
Okay, cool. 2-0 Lion. So there's not really a whole lot to say here. You play 2 because your deck can combo twice. Because of your extra deck, you play 2 Auroradon, 2 Needle Fiber, and 2 sets of Synchros to summon. All on the same page for that one, yeah?
You need one in your deck to combo.
Yeah, that's it. And even if you draw one, like Tyson said, you have the other one in your deck to combo. Jet Synchron, not much to say here. It's like probably one of your best cards.
Play 3, probably.
Yeah, well,
I think anyway.
Joe and Tyson both think they bump this card to 3. I personally like the idea of being able to keep this card up this deck of 40 cards, so you can still see your hand traps, but I could definitely see the argument for playing 3 as well.
I believe it's just strictly better than 003 outside of the niche scenario of Ash Blossom.
Yeah, well, no, that's the other thing is when you play 003, if they Ash you and you have a quick draw as your follow-up, if they Ash you either on the 003 or the Needle Fiber, you can do your full combo through it. Whereas that won't happen with Jet. But that's also a pretty specific situation. So
could just mean that you start ashing the Oraiden part.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You can just Ash Oraiden as well. So maybe knowing that if you're playing someone who's playing the Jet...
You always make Oraiden like Chainlink 1 though, right? Oral Dragon? You can't Ash it?
No. The Oraiden effect to tribute tokens.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of the other one, I think.
Right, yeah, no.
I'm thinking of another card. I don't know the names of these cards.
So then we'll quick draw Synchron.
So what's the crocodile guy called?
Ravenous crocodile guy. I don't know.
Ravenous Crocodragon Archithis.
Yeah, he has AR in his name, so I thought he was the Aura guy.
No, not that guy. But yeah, quick draw Synchron. So this is your extender if you draw tuning and a starter. So this card's really nice. Not really a whole lot to say apart from that. You can make needle fiber with it. It's a machine, so also later in the game you can potentially make barricade blocker and make Auradon with it.
Yeah, you're just able to power through hand traps with him. Your turn doesn't end while you have that in your deck. You see the tuning or naturally see him.
Yeah, it's just
drop
like
him,
it's
play
your
on.
and because you can play one, so you don't have to draw it and still play 4 because of tuning. So that the card's just really nice. Hand traps. So Ash Blossom.
Good. It's good with like O-line as well. Like
Right. Yes.
or
Yes. Quick.
Jet or something, like discard something like that's
Yes.
engraved.
It's also good. You can get the O-Lion token and make a needle fiber later in the game without committing to a normal summon, which I think actually came up for me because of the token. But yeah, then we've got hand
Realistically,
traps.
a lot of the benefits of Quick Draw Synchron can probably be eliminated if you start hand trapping the Auradon opposed to the Fiber or the Despot 003.
Yes.
So heading
that's
forward,
another
it may
really
not
good.
be as relevant as it was earlier on in the format and for this event.
Do you think maybe
People had no
because of
idea what
that
hand
there might be a world where you eventually cut this card, or is it just too good?
Yeah, there could be for sure. That the single hand trap, they should probably save it for the Auradon. But you do get the Formula Synchron draw in that scenario, so it makes it a little bit more awkward to wait for the Auradon because you're playing like 4 cards to their significantly more. I don't really know what is optimal. I think that's kind of like one of the benefits to the deck. Forces a lot of awkward interactions.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's very, very hard to play around a lot of these cards as well, because even if you do have the hand trap to stop the combo, you're still playing against, the rest of the Eldlich deck.
There's also a world where maybe you hand trap the Link Cross. If they go for the Formula Synchron play, then they can just have the quick draw play.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, so we'll move on to the hand traps. Ash, does anyone have anything to say about Ash Blossom? It's not really much to say, right? Like, this card's just good against everything. Like, it's
a tuner.
Great, but it's good enough.
It's like relevant. There was a world where I considered cutting it, but the fact that it was one of the tuner hand traps, I went for that approach.
I suppose that's the other thing you can talk about is that this card is a tuner, so you can make needle fiber with it, which is kind of nice.
There was a world where it was cherries, but I expected there to be a lot of dinosaur. And I didn't really think everyone was going to be on needle fiber combos for this specific tournament. Probably wouldn't say the same for a bigger event.
Yeah, everyone's going to play random like stuff, so at those kind of things, Ash is really good.
Yeah, you probably don't want cherries versus an unknown field that is more than likely not going to be on the mirror.
Yeah, for sure.
So, back on the Jet thing, I think I had like a couple of games where I bricked, and even though like having a third Jet may have not made the difference, it was like noticeable that you are going to brick like some annoying percentage of the time with only having like 9 ways to Jet or whatever, or to fiber off like 1 card. So I think really want to like max out as much as possible while still having hand traps / Eldlich. That might be difficult.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that we'll talk about it later, obviously, but like Tyson said, there is a world where you can cut the counter trap from the main deck anyway, so maybe that might be the slot, Where you
I really liked the counter trap though, like just having I had VFD with like the counter trap like 2 or 3 times or something, and like it's so stupid. Like sometimes they even had the way to stop VFD, but like you just counter trap it and they lose. Like really good assurance.
Yeah, I agree. But I think the thing about those sorts of fields is like when you've got VFD and everything's resolved and you've got the counter trap on top of it and you've drawn the 3 cards, like, did you really need the counter trap to win those games? I think 90% of the time you probably didn't. But I don't know. I could definitely see the argument for or against keeping it in the main deck.
Probably the worst card in the deck when you're going second in this format.
Absolutely, yeah.
Doesn't play through
Well,
board.
it's the only card in your deck that does absolutely nothing going second, right? Like every single other card in your deck at least has some sort of benefit to being played second.
It's like I would rather see the Magician Souls target opposed to
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Golden Land
Yeah.
forever on second. Like it's not playing
Yeah.
into boards at any time. It's not placing what it is, like all of the other traps do on second.
Yeah, and then so then Effect Veiler, not really. Once again, not really a whole lot to say. It's just a card that, well, it stops their Needle Fiber combo. It stops a lot of starter cards, like a lot of really powerful normal summons, stuff like that.
Yeah, like stopping normal summon is what is like makes it so much better in a lot of ways than the other thing, the Mourner.
Then Mourner, yeah. Like
The
I
level
definitely
is
think I
relevant.
felt safer drawing this card than Mourner. But that being said, like
The
Mourner has
level
its own
1
applications.
is relevant if you're leading with double tuners, like say you've summoned Veiler, I've got quick draw synchron. You can still make the Link Haribo and not forego the Formula Synchron line. It would make up for that. Which you can't do if you don't
that's a
see the
really
Link
good point.
Haribo.
Yeah.
However,
You can make
on the
Link Haribo with this
downside,
card.
it's not a 3, so you can't just instantly make Savage like you can with your other trap.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the Ash and Mourner can be used to just gun a Savage with
absolutely.
your first.
Because the traps are both level 5s, so. So yeah, well, I think Veiler was pretty good though. I think all round just nice card to have in your deck. It's pretty set for a tournament like this where you could play against anything. So Ghost Mourner.
I mean the actual application of Effect Veiler is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, for sure.
Attempting to stop the whole the FD line or the Savage line earlier.
So Ghost Mourner was another card that acts very similarly to Effect Veiler in the sense, but it doesn't stop their starter cards, which made it slightly worse. But there was another application we had for Ghost Mourner where you could stop their Gizmek Uka from resolving, right? So like that Gizmek Uka targets your Needle Fiber and summons a water barrier statue from their deck. So having this card and Ash in your deck also counted as like a pseudo Call by the Grave against that card, which was the main reason I think we played this card, right?
Yeah, and it's a tuner.
Yeah, well that's it. Yeah,
there was a world where it was
tuner.
impermanence, but impermanence can only be used for its effect. It doesn't really have any other application outside of that. It's not going to start. You can brick on it.
So Joe, what did you think about Mourner? Did you have anything extra to add about that card that maybe you'd change it or take it out for something else?
I think it was like, yeah, it was fine. I don't know enough about the other hand traps against like other decks, but like I don't know, it served its purpose. It stops like all the kind of things you want to stop, stops all the Needle Fiber stuff, plus all that other stuff you said. So
yeah, another thing is I know you guys said you thought you might want to play Called by the Grave. Like, do you think maybe this could potentially be a slot that could turn into Called by the Grave?
Yeah, I don't know. You would to get Called by the Grave in. I would imagine you'd have to drop one of the hand traps, I guess.
Yeah, Called by the Grave could be definitely considered. Also got some applications in the mirror when you're playing it back and forth. You just put them off their Golden Lords. You probably win that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like did.
I don't know how many.
Yeah.
I don't know how many hand traps you like need as a minimum though, like for the format. Is the thing. Maybe it's one where you do need 12. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the sweet spot is somewhere between 9 and 12. So maybe this could come out. Maybe Nibiru. This is the other hand trap, right? Nibiru. Like I know Tyson opted not to play this card in his main deck.
Is that a lot of the decks are able to pop and negate pre-5 summons. The other hand traps should stop that play, regardless of what number summon it is. I feel like Nibiru does have the scenarios where it is dead. The other hand traps more than likely don't currently. could change heading forward. I'm not too sure, depending on what extenders the deck can have, like Adaman and stuff. But I'm very sure a lot of their players can put Dark Light as their third or fourth play, like that. And the Guardian, if they just go Adaman into Clarkimira Guardian, it's dead for the rest of the game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. With very, very valid points. So do you think going forward you probably wouldn't play this card in your main deck again? Like, because you didn't play it before, obviously.
I didn't play it in the main deck.
No.
I think I had used it against people at least 2 times, maybe 3. So like I don't know, it was only dead once. Often just sided it out. So maybe it's something cuttable. I'd have to play more though and see like what decks like lose to it, because it is like obviously if it does go off, it's like the most broken of the handicaps. So
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it has the highest ceiling, and it has the advantage of not being able to be stopped by Cold by the Grave, which is pretty huge. I don't know if that card's seeing heaps of play at the moment, but you never know, right? Like, we considered it.
I think if I were to main the next 3 hand traps, they'd probably be impermanents, just for the reasons earlier.
Yeah.
You can just put up the gate for Nibiru. Permanence is more than likely guaranteed to go through at some point before those summons.
Yeah, and the other like huge thing about impermanence is that you can draw it into your 6th card and stop a VFD. Like that's pretty cool as well, right? Like none of the other hand traps do anything like that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. So
I don't think the VFD is the issue in the mirror. If you didn't really stop the line prior to, it's more than likely the additional cards they drew that you're going to lose to.
Yes, for sure.
If the Savage Herald line also drew me the cards that the VFD line did, I would probably just gun that every time in the mirror. So I don't think you would ever have a scenario of impermaning the VFD.
I mean, I don't know, like
no.
If you main decked it, maybe you go second and they don't know what you're playing and they make VFD to draw the cards and you draw a starter and you get to play as opposed to not. I don't know. It's just another thing that could come up with that card being in your main deck.
I don't currently see a world where I could opt to go second in the meta right now. Things like Adaman can put up impeccable boards. They're unoutable. Going to do the same.
Yeah, even this deck is like, if you go first and do your combo, it's pretty hard to lose.
He wins, right? Just draws enough cards.
Yeah, I think I found that like you said, if you drew the cards, like you were probably winning the game regardless of whether VFD resolved or not. So that was irrelevant, but it's something to think about, I guess.
Definitely a lot harder to play against the mirror if you haven't seen the Eldlich half. If you're just seeing hand traps and the VFD line off of your entire combo plus draw, they can definitely still just get their cards. They have to turn their cards into more cards than you drew on your turn 1. Then they're able to just force through their Jet Synchron lines after you've run out of your extra deck.
Yeah. So I suppose we'll move on to Cursed Eldland. There's not really a lot to say about this. Played 3, it's the best. I think it's the best card, Eldlich card in the deck, just because it gives you so many cards. You just keep this up and over turns, just search more and more resources. It gives you a resource when you activate it, and another resource when it's sent to the graveyard. I don't know, anything you guys want to say about that card, or?
Not at all.
Tuning.
Nothing.
So this card's really nice. This card searches Jet Synchron or Quick Draw Synchron, and also mills a card from the top of your deck to the graveyard, which is really good because a lot of your traps float in the graveyard. I don't think there's a world where we talk about ratios or anything on this card. Like 3's mandatory as far as this deck's concerned.
I would believe 3 is as mandatory as the 3 Jet Synchron. despite having a slight additional application in Quick Draw Synchron. You also have to remember the ordering of playing tuning. You probably, if you already have your Jet Synchron line, you just save it till after. You've got more chance to hit your Eldlich spells and traps. I mean, it would seem obvious, but
no, that's definitely something to think about. Yeah, like when you activate this card, if you already have the starter, you want to cycle through your deck as much as possible before you activate it, so that you have a higher chance of hitting these traps.
Don't just lead with them. And you can also, if you draw O-line, it becomes a lot more awkward to freely activate the tuning. So if you hit that other O-line, it's like so marginal that it's going to happen. But yeah, that's pretty sad. So you want to try and getting out the necessary pieces before activating that card.
Yeah, I suppose the next card we want to talk about then is Eldlich, the Black Awakening, because I know we had a big discussion on whether or not we should actually be playing this card. I like playing the 4 Eldlich cards to be able to get Lord from the deck. I think that's a nice number, but I could definitely see an argument for cutting this card for something else if you needed to. What do you guys think?
I had no world where I needed to summon Lord from my deck at spell speed. And it's dead after your turn 1 usually.
Yeah, I used both of its effects like once. I think I milled it off of tuning or something once, which was pretty good. But then the other time I used it was just to summon a dude to tribute summon. So yeah, like I don't know, probably cuttable, but not very good.
Yeah, I guess then you start running the risk of not seeing your engine in the mirror. But I think that's possibly its only application.
Yeah, well, that was my main thing, is that like it's a slightly worse Sanguine, but you get to play the 4th copy.
I think the other spell is potentially just better.
Yeah, well, that was something to think about. The quick play spell, right?
Yeah, like because its application is in the mirror, where you want to be playing, I guess, a longer game. Where you could be, you don't really want to be playing it. You could be playing a longer game. The other spell won't be dead. This card probably dead pretty early. I don't know. I suppose it still has the whole
Elixir of White Destiny.
Yeah, the spell was always dead for me, other than the one time I used the summon Mana from deck.
Yeah, like the only reason why you'd be doing that is to tribute summon the Nibiru, or the Golden Lord or something from your hand. But then you'd just be summoning the Golden Lord from your hand. I think that was the niche scenario that happened in Josiah's match. We summoned a guy and tribute summoned over it. You can't make Savage with it unless for some reason it's surviving multiple turn clock.
Yeah.
Seem like where that's happening.
And then
unlike the other trap where you just end phase it, make a Savage your first line. That's why I think the quick play spell could just be better. Sort of do the same thing. Can't do it with this.
Yeah, well, the other thing to think about is that like the quick play spell does get it out of your graveyard as well, right? Like, like once you have it in cycling and rotation, the quick spell is much better.
Shouldn't be dead post turn 1.
No. Yeah. Sanguine. I think pretty straightforward. Like we were saying before, you just want you want to see your engine. This card summons Lord from your deck and floats into another golden land. So there's not much to say about that card, right?
Yeah, you need the 3 Sanguine, and you just need the other 2 as well. Like, no.
Yeah, you're pretty sad if you don't see your engine in the mirror. I guess there's a world where you could play the other trap if you did think that spell was necessary, because you're probably going to be pairing it with your Jet Synchron line, which is discarding a card, is the additional search for the Eldlich that will let you see your Golden Lord turn 1.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like just playing like a 3rd golden land that isn't the counter trap, just to have the additional card to discard seems pretty good as well.
I don't know, that card, its effect is pretty bad. So probably
yeah. Well,
it's like a battle trap.
it gets to a point where it becomes less about like which card is good and bad, more about consistency, and like they all end up being the same card because they search each other. Conquistador and Hokero. So I suppose there's not really a whole lot to say about the ratios. We're always going to play 3, but what did you guys default to? Like if you had the choice between the two, because I felt like Conquistador was a lot better, but I just want to know what you guys think.
Yeah, I would go for Conquistador if I had no idea what they were playing.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like
blind, I'm probably going for Conquistador. It's not like a natural. I'm going to do this every time. It's really just my unknown game ons.
Yeah, for sure. I think because I played against 3 dinos, I think Hokaro actually ended up being really good just to stop the Misk, which is just happens to be infinitely better against that deck. Because if they summon out a baby, and I can't like Conquistador it at that point.
Yeah.
The dinosaur deck is slightly problematic if you don't see your Jet Synchron line, because they can just completely turn off your entire deck with double Miscellaneous Aurus. So every one to grave, you can walk it. They just have the other one or something. Your Conquistador and Hawk are now doing nothing.
And I suppose, so like I think as well Conquistador was the better one to default to, but I really liked having 3 Hokaro in my deck, for sure. Not only because it's an engine card, but the effect is actually really nice, like against a lot of decks. Even in the mirror, like banishing their lord is really nice.
If Adaman ended up having some unknown build or something came through and that did prove to be the best deck, there's a world where you do cut them lower than 3 and 3. But I think at the moment...
absolutely. Just to get more hand traps in your deck and be able to play.
Against everything else, I would probably keep them at their max ratios.
Yeah.
Especially like in or other random randy decks. Like you actually do. I did find that I went through all of them, or almost all of them as well. So
yeah, I did make the mistake. I think we sided out in a mirror, and that ended up being how we determined who won the match. We still had traps left. The opponent didn't. So in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have cut as many as I was earlier in the rounds.
Yeah, like only cut it if you have to, kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big thing when siding is like, how much of my engine can I actually side out? And you'd probably try and default to siding out other cards first, but sometimes you need to put everything in. And then I guess Golden Land Forever is the last card to talk about. Tyson didn't play this card in his main deck. He sided it because obviously going second, this card is just terrible. And going first, I don't know, like going forward, I feel like I maybe cut this card. It is very win more. If you have your combo, you probably win. Like this is cool as like a plan B, I guess. But just having the traps and Eldlich guy anyway is probably fine. Like negating a card and destroying a card seem like the same thing. What do you guys think?
It has the issue that you need to have a specific order of playing your traps as well, if that's what you have.
Yeah, because you turn your other traps off.
Yeah, but of course it's negate. It's like what it does. It just sucks that it can't really be the first card you play of the turn, which is usually what you want from one of those types of cards. Obviously doesn't loot like the other traps do on second.
Yeah, there's no floating. It's just a high power brick, I guess.
It's like going to sue you the game in the mirror. But if it doesn't, you're a lot further behind because you did waste your search on that. It sort of turns off one of your lines of play. And yeah, like Benji went over, you win if you go first and resolve combo. More than likely get there if you didn't because you had enough trap or your old line. if you just saw a bunch of Jet Synchron type stuff and they stop your play, the Golden Land Forever is not going to get you there either.
No, yeah, exactly.
But on the flip side, I think in the mirror, you sort of want to be boarding it in because there are scenarios where you know exactly what they have, how many cards they have to work with, put them off of their line, kill them.
Joe, did you have anything to say about this card?
Yeah, definitely at worst, really excited for going first. It's really good in first.
Definitely. Like in between with the card right now, I probably don't know what I would do yet.
Yeah, for sure. It's very hit or miss. Like I do like this card. It does stop, very powerful cards like Evenly Matched and Lightning Storm, which aren't usually in the main deck, but I definitely don't see a world where I wouldn't side this card. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you sort of do need it for games 2 and 3 because of Evenly Matched. The Lightning Storm isn't as relevant.
Yeah, because your traps float or whatnot.
Yeah, only stopping 2 of your back row. And if they're boarding in Lightning Storm versus your deck, you're probably happy that was the card they put in opposed to other hand traps. Because you were going first, you were now more statistically able to push through your turn 1 play.
So you can get it in the end phase and stuff like that as well, and then the turn it's live, and then it stops their hand traps or whatever else they could do to stop you from them.
Yeah. I think that's the issue a lot of people had with this deck. They weren't just killing their opponents on the second turn. Not sure why. It's like you have the damage to do it. The numbers check for sure. Like your Savage plus Herald plus Golden Lord at being 35 gets there. That's 600 plus 40, 150 plus 35. You can obviously just flip your other traps, pop what they do have on board, continue to kill them. But the deck just hits the magic numbers. I would have the game plan of just killing them.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely something to think about. It's like sometimes it can be pretty hard to know whether or not you actually have game unless you've played multiple games with the deck over and over again. So it's definitely, like you said, having that combo be exact game is something you should probably know going forward.
Issue maybe that it inherently doesn't look like it kills conventional Eldlich deck.
Yeah, well, it seems like a control deck, right? With a small combo in it. But you really just have a lot of cards.
The game plan would be to kill turn 2 every game.
Yeah, well, with Auradon being able to pop a card and Lord being able to send a card, you've got a lot of board clearing cards, so you shouldn't struggle to kill with this deck.
Auradon it also isn't a hard once per turn.
Yeah, so that was something very interesting that came up in a few games.
You're able to see, so if you see your O-line, you can do the combo where you'll have your O-line token on the board, you leave your Auradon up instead of tributing itself in token. If you do that, you can just next turn Auradon the back row, do your line again, and you can still Auradon someone from deck.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's and even being able to have Auradon up on the field, use its effect to kill a card, and then summoning another Auradon, summoning 3 tokens and using its effect again. It's just crazy. Obviously having the Auradon from the previous turn because you can't link the same turn it was summoned.
Yeah, and there are multiple lines that will leave the Auradon up to your opponent's turn. It's probably not that necessary. Usually kill without it. You can usually out.
Yeah, for sure.
Without it.
Just another card that can commit pressure. Get rid of traps. Just ensure that you are going to win that game instead of you might win that game.
It's effect for 3. I don't believe ever came up.
No, I don't think any of us ever activated Auradon for 3. Although that is a very good effect in the right deck.
I don't know what it does. What the 3 effect is.
It sets a trap from your graveyard.
Oh, yeah. I do remember. Yeah.
It's all of them float anyway. Maybe it has some kind of weird thing, the Golden Land Forever, the count trap thing. I don't.
So with like side
I'm not
deck,
coming out.
maybe like if you're siding in judgment.
Yeah, maybe there's a world where you can do some kind of curious play.
Yeah, well
Set your
that
flood
was
deck. I don't know.
that was the big thing, right? Is like if you could somehow go curious and then summon this afterwards, you would be able to set any trap from your deck. And that doesn't seem outside the realm of impossibility with like cards like Needle Fiber around, right?
No, I believe that there is just straight up a way to do it right. Like you're summoning a bunch of machines anyway. You could probably do something like, how does curious? Curious is same attribute, different type, right? I don't know.
yeah,
or whatever.
same attribute, different types.
Yeah. It's probably not coming up. I don't know. Is Linkross a light? Maybe there's something with like Veiler, Formula, Synchron, Linkross. They're 3 different types, but probably not.
Yeah. Well,
Probably not.
something to think about maybe in the like future in a different deck, but for this deck, I think Auradon does what it does very well. So onto the side deck. So 3 Dark Ruler, no more. This card was in there for Adamantipator mainly. Also, I don't know. At first, I thought maybe you could side it versus the Mirror, but if they make VFD, this card's just dead. But then it's like Tyson said before, maybe they don't go for VFD in the Mirror. They probably do because it draws you 3 cards.
No, I think they do.
Like
based on the draws, for sure.
I know because for example, I definitely had games where I went for Savage and Herald instead because I drew Summon Limit. You know, like stuff like that.
I guess to protect the summon limit, okay plan. They obviously can't Golden Lord you with Herald on the field. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of cool niche into it. But yeah, so Dark Ruler, not really much more to say about that card. What did you guys think about Dark Ruler? Did you guys side it in at all, or?
No, I didn't board it in once because I didn't play against.
Yeah, I don't think I put it in either because I didn't play against anything it was relevant against. I don't think.
Pretty much there just for that deck.
Yeah, well, in my game 3 against Adamantipator, I had 5 cards in my hand and going to draw my 6th. If the 6th card had been Dark Ruler no more, I would have won that game. But unfortunately, it was not, and I lost.
It's usually how that matchup's going to go.
3 or 4 negates and Buster Lock or something. So
of course, if you see the Dark Ruler no more, that's the combo deck. As this sick, sure.
Yeah, it would be nice, but
yeah,
not really much more to say about it, right? Like,
no, I don't think so.
Cool.
You can clear the whole board with your combo. You know.
Well, that's it.
Chameleon, you have Coral Dragon, you have Ravenous, you have your Golden Lords. You can break their boards if you do see it.
Oh yeah, easily. And not only that, just like being able to attack over monsters as well. Like you probably don't even need to discard the cards. Right. Cosmic Cyclone. This card was in here. I don't know. It's like it seems like the best spell and trap destruction card that wasn't Lightning Storm.
I think it's possibly better than Lightning Storm. I don't really see a world where Lightning Storm is.
Lightning Storm's just good against like the really bad decks, right? Like
that's
stuff,
it.
The ones with
Lightning Storm's insurance against the I'm going to set all my cards deck. Whereas the Cosmic Cyclones are a lot more fluid. They can go in against any deck.
Puts them off the whole line.
Did you guys side Cosmic Cyclone in it all? Any notable interactions with that card?
It's pretty straightforward, I think. Like being able to banish the woodlit cards is nice, obviously.
Yeah, being able to banish cards that float, very nice. Then Lightning Storm, once again, it's like we said, insurance against the bad decks. Altergeist, Guru, Stun, but they're at the same time having the application of destroying monsters as well. So, for example, against a Stun deck, I suppose you could destroy their traps or their Inspector Border. Not really a whole lot to say about that card, so I think we'll move on to Solemn Judgment. So, Tyson, you didn't play the Solemn Judgments, right?
So I heard nothing that you just said about the Lightning Storm.
Oh, I was just saying, probably not a lot to say about it. Just pretty standard, destroys monsters and traps. So
I'd potentially not play it if there was something better.
yeah,
Um,
see a world
this
for that.
deck naturally beats a lot of the bad decks. You're not losing to a Mind deck. Your whole engine sort of searches outs to it. Guess it's kind of cool if, I don't know, they're playing some floodgates. It's like naturally what it does, obviously, but again, the deck sort of just outs those cards. This engine.
Do you think there's a world where you play Twin Twister instead?
I don't know, that doesn't really put the mirror off of its line, which I felt was the defining factor, whether you're able to float around with the Eldlich cards. But maybe, I don't know.
Do you think
can't
maybe
really
just
think of-
Cosmics are enough and this could just be dedicated to a different deck, or a different kind of deck? Maybe another hand trap or something?
Yeah, but then you do run the numbers that you're playing too many hand traps. I think in my game 2 and 3, I play an additional 2 hand traps over what your main has. So maybe in this, it could be that. It could be something like cherries. It could be something like impermanence.
For sure. Yeah, cool. So did you have anything else you wanted to say about Lightning Storm, or?
Doesn't work against defense position monsters.
I
forgot.
Yeah, something to think about.
It's obvious why you play it. It's just beat the really terrible decks. It's like set 5 and stuff like that. I don't know how relevant they even are, but I imagine they would be relevant enough maybe to be worth having 3 spots for them. They usually do exist and are a pain if you do have to play them. So 3 spots if it's bad.
Yeah. So I suppose we'll move on to Solemn Judgment then.
I guess you could kill them with it.
Yeah,
That's
for
relevant.
sure. If they don't put their guys in defense mode, sure.
Subpar, but I probably wouldn't put it in. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. So Solemn Judgment. So Tyson, you didn't play this card in your deck, right?
No, I didn't.
So what did you play in its place?
I didn't have a direct swap for that card. It's just a different sideboard, I suppose. There was no card that I thought to myself, I'm going to play this over Solemn Judgment. Didn't really think to play
We'll quickly
Solemn
go through your side deck in a
over those
minute.
cards.
But
yeah, maybe just explain
Solemn
why you
Judgment
played
was
it.
really good. I think this is probably the best card in my side deck. It probably doesn't seem like you would need a card like this, but it's just, it's like a better version of your Golden Land, right? You can put it in and not combo and still be fine. You don't have to draw specific cards for it. Stop summons, which is really nice. Joe, did you side this card in at all? And did you see it? And was it good?
Yeah, I sided in anytime I went first, I think. I only saw it once, but it was relevant because I scooped to VFD anyway. That was in the final game 2. But you can see why you would play it as insurance. If they stop you, it's probably the best card you can just set that doesn't screw you over like a floodgate.
Yeah.
I'm usually under the assumption that it's Yu-Gi-Oh! We have stuff like floodgates. There's usually a floodgate that naturally beats whatever you're sideboarding that in against. Could just be in the side deck anyway. There is space. I don't think it's 15 staples. I would usually keep deciding to going second. It could be Cool by the Graves, forcing your auto win through.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. I think this card could easily be swapped out for Called by the Grave, because like you said, in the mirror, it's a really good card to just keep them off Lord anyway, and it kind of does the same thing. It's like, once you get stopped, you have another form of interaction to keep going. Like very rarely are you using judgment because you're scared of like evenly or something, right? Because if that were the case, you'd just default to Golden Land. So I suppose it's not really a whole lot else to say about that card. But then
you have to evenly negate in the Golden Land. It's usually searchable.
Yeah, exactly.
There will theoretically be more copies of the Golden Lands and Solid Judgment while you board 3 Judgment in and only the 1 land. You do have the triple elixirs, the copy of itself. Of course, gold, the niche ways to search it that you wouldn't want to rely on, but tuning can potentially add to the number of Golden Land you'll be seeing turn 1 opposed to nothing with the Judgment, but that's like, I don't know what, like a...
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess a 1 in 8 or something. It's not that unlikely that you do tuning one of your elixirs.
No, definitely not. That I think that's one of the reasons that card is so nice. Is not only does it search you your starter card, but you have like a ridiculously high chance of hitting a card in your deck that does something in the graveyard.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like, ridiculously high.
It'd be very close to 1 in 4, right?
If it's something, yeah. If you're considering just a card, but when we're talking about specifically the Golden Land, it's more than likely.
Right, yeah.
1 in 8.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, overall, for sure, there are a lot of cards that you can see with the tuning. If you hit something like an O-line early, you're able to play through a hand trap on fiber, force through that formula draw or something. If you hit like the Despot 001, puts them in a pretty poor position to be hand trapping anything, not the Auraton, like that. But again, don't play it before like the 03 or whatever.
Yeah. So then the Floodgates, 2 summon limit, and an Imperial Order. So I looking back at this, I think I might actually just play 3 summon limit because that card's just crazy. One of my games, this just outright sealed me the deal. I don't know, maybe I won anyway, but this card's just too good. What do you guys think?
One of the better hand
never saw it or anything like that. I don't know. What I have ascertained, like, we want more side deck cards for like going second, I guess. Like, you got the 3 Judgment in. Like, maybe if you got the 3 Judgment, then you could have 3 side cards going first. Like 6 side cards, which are like only good going first, is maybe excessive for a format with best decks being like.
Yeah, like realistically, Adamant doesn't really want to be putting in the hand traps and the cards to stop your back row on second. Don't know if it can afford to do that. And I believe that the summon limit would be the card that seals you the deal, because they're probably putting in the hand traps to stop your VFD play.
Yeah, well, that was kind of the theory behind it. I was like, if I have summon limit and they're playing against this deck, like, do they really want to put in the Cyclones? Do they really want to put in the Lightning Storms? Like, probably not.
I don't think a combo deck at the moment can afford to, unless it's a combo in the sense of Jet Synchron, where it's just one card does everything.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing is,
I think you probably going forward would just play maybe the 3 summon limit. I didn't cite in the order,
wouldn't play order.
Does Adamant Spaders, they don't do they play many spells?
They
not enough
not
to
really
want to play order. No.
I would probably play Skill Drain. There's a world where if I draw 3, one of them is a Skill Drain, I'm probably winning that game.
Yeah, that's the
same
fair.
as some of them.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to say is about the siding for first and second. My theory was that you have 12 hand traps in your main deck already, right? Like, how many flex slots do I have after this to side cards for second? Like, what can I take out here to put 3 more cards in? Like, I start taking engine cards out stuff, right? So I thought instead of like because I've already got the hand traps in the main, I'll just have more cards going first to make my deck stronger game 2 and 3.
Depends on the dice roll, right? On what your games 2 and 3 are going to be for that to regard it as stronger or not.
Well, no, yeah, obviously, but like my point is, if I'm going second, I've already got all the cards I need to go second. I don't think I can have more cards going second against any deck. Like maybe evenly matched, but
versus Adamant,
I
I think you can definitely start chipping into your engine. You're not going to be playing that long game versus that deck. Just want to stop their turn 1.
Yeah, so maybe you could take out three Solemn Judgments for like another hand trap, maybe cherries.
Cherries are imperm are good.
Imperm as well, yeah.
Token Collector is pretty cool, but
that's definitely a card that's seeing a bit of play. Well, with all the Lion and Fiber stuff, like it seems pretty no-brainer, right?
Yeah, I would think very good in Dinosaur, I guess, as the application with your own Lost World.
Yeah, the Lost World interaction as well, where you can destroy your own tokens, protect them, summon things. Yeah, it's an Earth.
It's an Earth order board in Adamant, so you can just Token Collector and start doing your Gallant Lion. Seems ridiculous in a hand trap. And then later you've got the additional Earth Block Dragon, that sort of stuff. But not in here, I guess. I'm not really sideboarding for the mirror as much. Because it's just a half-half deck. We're both half play independently. If you overside for the jet stuff.
Oh, we're just DC, guys. So I'm just going to refresh the page here. Yeah, once I refresh, I suppose we'll get into the extra deck.
I feel like
are there any like cards that actually do like hit both sides of the engine like well enough?
No, that's kind of well. If there are, I don't think anyone's worked it out yet. That's kind of the big issue here. I mean, I guess DD Crow is the only one I can think of that kind of does both, but it's not very good.
Which card was that? Sorry,
DD Crow.
DD Crow.
Yeah, I guess Crow is something like that. Sure.
So like maybe you could side DD Crow. That's another card I potentially wanted to play, but I just thought like it's very low impact for what it does, and it also can just be very bad.
You could go like Master maybe as well. I don't know.
Yeah, Skullmaster is there too.
Skullmaster, yeah, that's another card to look at. So I suppose
They both probably do cover both halves reasonably well, but neither of them are going to push through your play on the second if you do choose to be doing this Despot. It's not like they're stopping the Quark effect or the Inquisitor. They just put them off of their line, which is huge. That is huge in itself. So they could be considerable for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Especially considering also like you could draw that card at any point in the game and put them off Lord and it's still fine. Whereas like a lot of the other hand traps, well, after you turn 1, they're really bad.
Yeah, a lot of these hand traps aren't doing anything after you've stopped their first jet push. If you stop their first, you can usually mount enough traps that they will stop the second line, and the extra deck burns out pretty fast. I think there is a world where this stops becoming the best deck certain weeks, like a metagame type thing, like while people play 12 hand traps, I probably would just swap to something like Invoked Eldlich.
Okay, yeah.
Eldlich or whatever.
Suppose the only problem with that is that like you then have to be able to beat Adamantipator as well, right? I suppose if you're playing enough hand traps in your Eldlich and Vote deck, you can, but
yeah, you sacrifice your turn 1, the power level of what you end on, for being able to play through a lot of the cards that people could be metagaming week to week.
Yeah. I do like that deck, so that's definitely something to look at in the future as well.
I think in a vacuum, this is the best deck out of the iterations of. I was playing around with it maybe at the beginning of the format. I had Scrap Recyclers in, and rather than doing this whole package in the extra deck, I was just making a topologic every turn. That was pretty good.
Yeah, same sort of concept, right? Like you play your starters to do a combo, and then if your combo gets stopped, you have cards to keep playing over turns.
Yeah. I think as soon as all of these super long fiber combos came about, I instantly moved off of to the topologic stuff into it. But really good Trispania, Bomber Dragon. They play really well with your deck.
Yeah, well, it might be something to look at if fiber gets banned, right? Like,
yeah, or if you just, yeah, sure, if it gets banned. I think there's maybe a world where scrap could be used still in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe I would, heading forward, consider that. Don't know. I didn't really have enough time to test everything I wanted before the event.
Yeah, well, understandably, and then there's not really many events on either, so you don't have a whole lot of info to go off of. It's really hard.
I mean, realistically, I was up on August up until like the day before.
What, you just figured this would be safer?
Herald.
Can't beat Herald, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a pretty big problem.
Alright, well, let's move on to the extra deck. We have two Halki Fibrax and two Auroradon. So there's not really a whole lot to say about these cards. Like they're the cards that let you do your really unfair combo.
Yeah, hella Fabrax. That needs to go. The cards are, I don't know, I keep seeing Banjet Synchron. So many different iterations of that card. You've got like Sangan into Arborea, you have Lone Fire Blossom into Spore, you have the Draconet, you have what you mention all the time, that lefty-righty driver stuff.
Lefty-righty driver, yeah.
It's just endless.
There's too many things that this card can do, and even once it stops becoming a one-card combo, it still just adds way too much to all the other combos as well. Or just being able to default off of your combo onto this at the end is really dumb.
I don't think there's a world where it ever stops becoming a one-card combo. There are just far too many ways to get to it with one card.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But there is probably a world where like there ends up being a better one-card combo, is what I suppose what I meant. But
yeah, I think Sangan could potentially be better than this Jet line. The issue is you can't fit in Amarage and Blink Karibo. The 15 are like perfect numbers right now. There's nothing you can. Maybe you could forego the Formula Synchron Barricade, Link Cross stuff, but it's just a free draw, right?
Yeah.
There's a world where Sangan Arborea is better, because if you do draw that Arborea, you're able to just straight up search a hand trap, which is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, that's definitely something else to think about, I guess, is that if you decided you didn't need the draw, you could end up playing Sangan to search hand traps and playing extra copies via Tour Guide, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like there are definitely a lot of ways to get into it, a lot of other options you can consider.
Yeah, so I suppose like the brunt of that is like banning Jet Synchron probably it doesn't do anything. So
yeah, I mean I think that probably is just a definite no. The Jet Synchron isn't the card that makes it ridiculous. You see people advocate for the O-Lion. Right now, the conventional combo, sure, but I'm so sure that there would just be additional lions that come about.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, right? Like, every time somebody goes and bans a card like that, we're so sure that it's done, and then somebody comes along the next day and just makes an even better combo, like...
Yeah, well, I think I've seen some stuff where they just don't use it. They just sort of do this weird Samurai Warrior thing with the new Ignoble Knights and that sort of thing.
Okay, yeah, that's
the card you can stop is the O-Lion. I mean, right now, with the conventional line, sure, that's like relevant. Even then, I'm pretty sure Arborea can get out some other tuners and you still end on like a Savage.
Yeah, for sure. Like
near it's good, but you have drawn card with Savage.
I'm sure like banning O-Lion by no means would kill this deck or any of these combos, but it would definitely at least make it a bit more exciting, I guess. Not everyone doing the same thing.
I would honestly just flat ban the needle fiber.
Yeah,
not
for
doing
sure.
anything good.
I think this is probably like a discussion for another video, but like you are right. Like I think that card just has to go. Whether they will or not because they want to sell product and whatever, that's a different story, I guess. But yeah, this card's really, really silly.
Definitely. But yeah, like you said, you could go on for a while about what Needle Fiber can do.
Yeah.
Plays value line.
And yeah, no, same thing with the Rodon, I guess. It's like, this card's just lets you do it. Even though you probably don't need it, if they ban this card, Needle Fiber would find something else to do. This is just a very crazy sequence of effects that you can activate.
Yeah, Rodon is very powerful. I honestly didn't know it existed until it was in these lines. I didn't know about it.
Yeah, well, no, I knew about this card because of the third effect. I had looked into like a whole bunch of weird, curious combos and stuff with it. But then when I saw it on the list, I actually read the rest of it. I was like, oh, hey, okay. This is like a synchro card. This is just like, like Junk Speeder. Like, this just lets you make synchro monsters, right? Like,
yeah, with the master rule changes, it was made right before those.
Yes, Dual Overload.
Why?
Well, no, it was. I think it was a thing in Japan for a while, but just nobody ever played it because of the rules. Can't look someone for the rest of the turn.
Understandable, right?
Yeah.
To an extent, I suppose. Pointers are really good, so it probably was something you could have done prior.
Once again, I could probably see this card getting banned one day. Just very, very good generic card.
Absolutely. But yeah, definitely.
Linkross. So the package we played, Linkross, Barricade, and Formula Synchron, along with the Link Rebo, was to get the extra draw. So, did you guys want to go into that at all? Like, whether you thought that was worth it, not worth it, cut it? What do you reckon?
Currently, I believe there'd be no reason for me to change the extra deck the way it functions. I'll just keep the draw in. There's nothing I'd really rather in at the moment over it. But that definitely will change just based on what decks are the best decks, what's being currently played in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought the extra was really good. There was nothing I would want to do differently, I don't think.
I saw something about like the Moonlight. People play Moonlight over Herald. Don't know why.
Yeah, I think that's like I know there's quite a few combos you can do with Needle Fiber. I'm not familiar with the Moonlight line, but I know the other line that we didn't play was the Boral Savage draw line, where you would end on a Savage and draw, I think, 4 cards, I believe. So you'd end on Savage and Librarian and 4 cards.
If there's a combo where you're drawing 4 cards, there's a world where I just play that over VFD. I haven't really looked into it too much.
Yeah, definitely something to look into after the video. For
VFD's application in the mirror isn't that it's VFD; it's that it draws 3.
Yeah.
Like,
okay. So yeah, the formula package was pretty good, I guess.
It could be any single negate. The cards are drew.
Yeah, no, like this could just be a level 9 vanilla. Like you draw 3 cards is pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a world where like, I mean, I wouldn't go so far. Like, I'd want something to the board. I wouldn't just want to be drawing 3 and nothing. But the single negate in the mirror is usually enough.
Like, not
when
to say this card's not insane.
You can rush to it.
I suppose we'll talk about the synchros next. So Garden Rose, this like
they're just necessary combo pieces, right?
Yeah. Like so, this Coral, Crocodragon, and Vermutech are a part of a combo to make VFD, and then the second line you can take makes Savage and Herald. So I think we can all agree that like defaulting to the draw 3 make VFD line was just a no-brainer. Like blind, because or even not blind. I think the Boral Savage and the Herald were there specifically to play again, as opposed to starting with. What do you guys think?
Instead of play again,
insane follow-up.
You do need the Herald to kill, because Golden Lord and Savage is not enough. The Savage is at 4150, the Golden Lord's at 35.
I
It
think
needs something to do along with it. I don't know,
I
maybe that
think
line.
that you get more damage from Vermiltech Dragon and Crocker Dragon, right? Because he gains 500 for
No,
each card in hand.
of course, but you've turned one VFD, Drew 3.
Right,
You're doing
yeah.
that with 3K. So they stopped that. They removed it from the board or something because they thought, you need to get rid of this to be able to play any future game. You can just Savage, Herald, Golden Lord. That's lethal. So I don't know if cutting the Herald for the Moonlight was right, but maybe the world where like all of it happens at once. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'd have to look into that combo more to say because I'm not overly familiar with it. But yeah, I think Herald and Borrel is a no-brainer. Like I said before, you can also make it with Summon Limit to protect the Summon Limit, which is really nice. Like, so if you draw that combo plus a Floodgate, you've probably just won the game.
Yeah.
Joe, did you end up using Herald and Borrel Savage much, or did you usually just win off VFD?
I didn't hear the last thing you said. Sorry.
Oh, so did you end up going to Borrel Savage and Herald much, or did you usually win off VFD and the other combo?
So I went for VFD every single time. The Savage and the Herald was just for turn 2. Like just make it so they have no chance of winning or playing them.
I think I did go for the Savage Herald line like once. My opponent had Lava Golem. it was game 1 as well, so I don't know. I was like, what?
That is unfortunate.
Yeah. It was versus Cyframe.
Cyframe, right? Yeah, okay, yeah. That's a weird
you
one.
definitely go. Yeah, like you would sometimes go for it, like against random bad decks like that. Like usually VFD is.
Yeah.
I liked VFD. I haven't played enough to like have a good idea, but it was nice having like knowing that you basically can. You get another turn if you have VFD on the field. Like you definitely get to next turn. There's no weird way they can like, kill you or anything like that. Because I didn't know what the other decks like did. I was afraid that randomly they can just kill me through whatever I might have. Because there obviously have been like formats in the past where like it kind of doesn't matter what you have, they can still just kill you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
having like knowing that I definitely get to next turn, and if it lives, like just insane. I don't know.
Getting to the next turn is just that much better in this deck while you can snowball with these traps.
So I suppose we'll talk about now. We'll talk about quickly. We'll just go to Tyson's deck and just talk about the changes. So your extra deck was exactly the same, but your main deck changes were Apprentice and 3 Souls, and a Despot for a Jet, correct?
We discussed why the Jet was better. I think the only thing that really hasn't been talked about was the Magician Souls.
Yeah.
This is like the alternate game plan. If you see that card and your traps, you're able to fix them in a way that you just get whatever you want.
Well, yeah, your 2 draws can potentially turn into 4 draws because they float, right? Like, pretty nice.
Yeah. It pairs with the hand traps very well to combo. Because it is the level 1, it turns into Link Karibo, so you can still do the whole Link Cross Formula Synchron thing with any hand trap. I tried to build it in a way that every hand should be able to have a fabric. Obviously, you can't guarantee you are playing
Yeah, well,
combinations.
can't pick your cards, but no, you're pretty close, right? Like, with this deck anyway.
Yeah, like it ties in with the hand traps I did choose to play. They're all tuners. They do pair with a lot of the rest of the deck pretty well. Even the Apprentice Magician thing does. It's not really a brick. I see some people playing that other thing. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, this card's fine, right? Because you can just Just summon it. It's just an extender.
Do you give up the Formula Synchron draw if you start with the Illusion Magician because you don't have the Link Kuriboh in the grave early? But it's like fine. If you did have to combo with your brick, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like what? I know. Like what did you think of Magician Souls? Do you think maybe you'd try that card out?
Yes, it seems really, really good. Like ditching those traps that work anyway and drawing cards and being like a random starter extender, whatever, seems really insane.
Cool, yeah. And the other thing I guess about this deck is that there were 9 hand traps there, and then 3-sided Nibiru's as opposed to my 12. I think we talked about that before, that, Nibiru is, when it's good, but there's just a lot of decks that can play around it, so maybe you just want the hand trap that you know is going to do something.
Yeah, definitely matchups where you need multiple hand traps. It's probably the best hand trap in the deck. Wow, you have 2 hand traps. The initial one into the Nibiru usually stops them being able to get to the negate before 5. You do Nibiru them, pretty happy.
And I suppose the other one is Impermanence, and we kind of talked about that a little bit before as well. It's just another hand trap you can play that's really nice. Can't call by the grave it. It does what Veiler does. You can use it as a trap.
Yeah, it's just it's the additional hand trap. We've sort of gone over a lot on the hand traps, but because of like my Nibiru logic, where it's not very good as the single hand trap, but it's incredible as the double hand trap when you push to 14 hand traps in the deck. I guess that's where it really
Yeah,
shines.
you get a better chance of doubling up, which is really nice. Well, that's the differences, I guess.
My
In the
side
two
deck
decks.
was realistically not refined at all.
No. So going back,
there.
what do you think you change in your side deck then?
I think it would definitely depend on like online results from the previous week.
Right, yeah,
People
no, that's
usually just going to copy
understandable.
that. So say Salamangreat has large representation. Just cut down some of the hand traps and try and play a game. I'm able to force to replay every turn through all of their hand traps and like Dweller Rage. So maybe I'd just put in the invoked main or something rather than change the sideboard.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I really don't know with the sideboard at the moment. I don't think the decks are refined yet.
I suppose that's all the
Dictate.
differences. And then Joe, what about you? As far as the sideboard, were you pretty happy with it? Is there anything you can think in particular you would like to change or put in there?
I only saw Lightning Storm and it did nothing once. Cosmic was good the one time I saw it. Just ripped it off the top to hit Eldlich Trap to like just win the game. And the Judgment just didn't do anything either. So realistically, like, didn't see the cards enough and probably don't know enough about the other decks to actually even be able to build a good side deck at this point in time.
I think personally I'd probably just play 3 summon limit instead of the order and the 2 limit. And I know I'm very conflicted about Solemn Judgment. I really liked it this tournament, but I feel like at the same time, like we were talking about before, it could probably just be called by the grave and be a little bit better. Something to think about, I guess.
Oh yeah, Cool by the Grave would probably appear in my sideboard or main board heading forward.
Definitely.
Cool. So Joe, did you want to go through your matchups quickly with us then?
Yeah, not very interesting at all. Round 1, I played Grand Maju Danger. I lost the rock, paper, scissors, but he let me go first anyway, and I just did combo 3
always
hand
nice.
trap, and he lost pretty much instantly. That was good. I was like, I don't know, kind of incredibly lucky. Other than game 1, I bricked, I think, game 2 and 3. Like game 2, I completely bricked. Game 3, I think maybe I only did Eldlich things. I can't really remember, but other than that round, like I kind of had everything all the time. Game 2, like I said, I bricked in that match and just killed me. I had Nibiru, but he just summoned 3 times and attacked the game, I think. Then game 3, I did some random things and stopped of his cards, but like he's playing into Gren Magi. So I don't know. Didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Wasn't a very interesting match. And 2 played the mirror. Pretty sure I comboed game 1. I think he stopped. He stopped something. He veiled something.
Now,
but
yeah, no, I
I still
believe
ended on.
your game 2, was it game 2 that he misplayed?
Danger Gren Magi.
No, sorry. The
Oh,
round 2 against the mirror.
I don't remember misplay.
Well, when he ended on Crocosaur instead of VFD.
No, I believe that was versus
Wasn't against
John.
me.
It was versus John.
Oh right, okay, never mind. Yeah, thinking of a different game.
In
Continue.
1, he veiled something, and I still put up good enough to win. Then game 2, I think I stopped him playing, and then had to kill him, and the torrential tributed me, which was like really interesting.
Oh wow, yeah, that's very
It
interesting.
didn't matter because he was so behind, and that game 2 went for a long time. But ended up winning because of having more traps left. He ran out of his golden traps way before we did.
Game 2 was like a pretty big proof, I suppose, where you can still VFD draw 3, but if you see 0 of your Eldlich cards, you're pretty behind in the mirror. Having like
absolutely
an endless supply of hand traps and drawing all of your death swap stuff after, even with the VFD, they sort of stop you from killing them very well with what their traps do, and then they're able to keep coming back next turn.
Yeah,
all of
like
your hand
I
traps
think it took a few turns to get to the Eldlich cards, I think.
Yeah, and I think there could have been a sequence of cards that he could have drawn to beat you, for sure.
Yeah, probably. Probably the best play definitely of the tournament for me was he had golden guy in which I couldn't beat over, and I used like much all my resources, all my extra deck resources. Didn't have much else, and then I summoned Honor out of the deck with that spell. Like the only time I actually double tribute for Nibiru, and then go over it. Yeah, pretty.
very nice.
It was like game-winning play. So
yeah, I'm barely sure because we had dipped. You had dipped into the trap. You didn't have any outs to the golden order defense position in your deck at all. Beside that, it was like your only.
No, we did have if we could summon. The thing is that we had to summon back the Golden Lord, like that also beat over it. There was no way of removing the Golden Lord from the board except for tributing.
Yeah, and there was the world where if you had the extra Huakin, that was no longer the game plan. Heading forward, maybe there was an alternate way of playing that game if we knew. It was because we knew he definitely had no more of the traps because he went to search, put his deck away, and said no targets.
Yeah, that was like.
Game.
That was like a big thing. Like once that happened, it was like
You could just freely play around with your Golden Lord at that point. Whereas if that didn't happen, there would have been the whole game trying to play around. Maybe the Hawk isn't there. Maybe he's trying to force us into a bad play. And then he does just randomly search it. But because it was declared that there were no targets, it was sort of just free information to win the game.
And 3 was against Buster Blader, which I still don't know what half their cards do.
Yeah.
One Bode sure he had no hand trap. Game 2, he did his Buster Blader stuff, and yeah, like if it goes off, like no, you can't really beat it. And I think Game 3 was just combo again. Like that was kind of like all my matches.
Yeah,
Not
very,
very interesting.
very seeing some patterns here, I guess.
Combo. Yeah, that was kind of boring. Final. That was the first game I didn't go first, so I Grand Marju let me go first, and the other 2 games I got to go first off the paper scissors.
I think the funny thing, not funny, but the thing was in your last match versus the Mermail, despite getting off the hand loop, there was you had left with 3 cards in your hand before the Glacier. He had to hit.
Oh yeah, no,
He had to hit both. He had to out of the 3 cards in hand, he had to leave me with Huak, right, and hit the other 2.
Yeah,
Lose the
you
game.
still won the game. Even
I believe the cards
and
you
the other
said
way.
were Cursed Eldland, Despot 003, and Hawk Arrow, right? And in any combination
Yeah,
that
I
doesn't
left
leave
Huak
Hawk Arrow
and
in your
lost
hand,
the
you
other
win the game,
Yeah,
which is very unfortunate.
incredible, like that step.
Yeah, and if I had top decked any way to it or whatever, still would have won.
Yes.
I don't know that. I thought that deck. I think we had a hand trap.
Yeah, I think it was
had
because
Ghost
the
Mourner.
hand trap on the fiber, so it couldn't put up negates, and you just ran the numbers of Glacier, discarding the rest of the stuff. You just had to dodge one of them. Didn't know. Sucked. But he bricked right? Game 3.
No, game 2 he's instant scooped to VFD, Cooling Water. And then game 3 he summoned Diva, I Veil it, and he set past turn. And then let me do a bunch of things. He had no hand traps, so he had just that imperm. He let me do a bunch of things first instead of using the imperm. And then off the formula, drew the Golden Lord to get rid of the imperm and just kill it.
Yeah, I believe if the imperm was
that
used
was
on the
very, very
Buster, probably
strange.
lost.
When I think he could have just won that game if he just impermed the Link Cross or something, right?
Yeah. I think there was sort of this general consensus of holding a hand trap for the Aura Radon rather than
Yeah.
I still had
evaluating the current
Nibiru that
line.
game though. Had even if
Yeah,
he did stop me doing stuff, I had the Nibiru, so you'd have to top deck that.
the
and
issue with
rip that.
that deck is, it can just have that rip the card of the hand. Of course, if you didn't have
I think I double Nibiru that game. Yeah, I didn't.
something silly for sure. But he
No,
just had to
anyway.
pass on the Diva.
Yeah, so that was good.
Yeah, so you end up going undefeated. Pretty
My
nice.
rounds was like, I don't know, lucky a lot. Basically had combo all the time, and when I did, for some reason, didn't get hand trapped as much as I would expect it would. And then in the games, I'd either win game 1, so I could just combo game 3 anyway, or one game where I actually needed to see cards to not lose. I saw the hand traps, so yeah, that's my tournament pretty much.
Yeah, for sure. Then obviously we've got my tournament, which my first 3 rounds in a row were all dinosaur. Lost my first round and then won the 2 after that. There's not really a whole lot. I'm not going to go through play by play because the videos are all up on the channel. So if you want to watch them, go ahead. Main thing I suppose I would say is that looking back, I don't think there was a whole lot I would have really changed about my deck. There were definitely a few times I misplayed throughout the tournament because I was still pretty unfamiliar with it. I was kind of learning as I go sort of thing, but I think I liked the list quite a lot, like all around. If I could enter the tournament again, I think I would maybe play the same list and find a way to get called by the grave in there, but that's it. And yeah, I suppose we'll go through Tyson's tournament as well. So, what were your matchups and how did they go?
Played against Dinosaur. I went 3-1. I unfortunately was the only 3-1 not to make the top cut.
Yes, very unfortunately, had to get 5th and 4th place cut off.
I lost round 1 to Dinosaurs. I believe I could have won the match. I just didn't really know how Lost World worked.
Okay, yeah.
We should have just taken the time to sit there and read it. I usually try and usually gun these things pretty fast, which is my bad. Like absolutely, it's like a fault for sure here. But I think I could have won that round one. Then obviously that would have influenced the rest of my tournament. So I can't really just do the ifs. Round two, I played against Cyframes, I believe. Very sure I 2-0'd him because this deck should theoretically just grind better than any of those decks. I think he had something like my turn one. I knew he was on Cyframes. Tried to do this Savage Herald play, and he had Lava Golem, Lightning Storm, Metaverse into mine, and I still didn't get there versus his deck. I guess that's just something.
Oh my god, that's pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I think this deck is ridiculous versus anything that isn't just putting up an unbreakable board, and I think only Adamant can do that. Maybe the Mirror. My round three was versus Danger. The Danger deck Josiah played round one. Game one,
The Danger Gizmek?
Yeah. So game one, I got Dimension Shifter into Killed.
Ugh.
I was pretty upset. Whatever, though. Game two, I did my thing. Made VFD, and like 100% sure he knew how the interaction worked with Dangers. Tried to do it. Didn't matter. It's like, no. Scooped. Game three, he had Nibiru, Super Poly, and a second Nibiru for the next turn. And it was just... I should have lost that match for sure. That was sequenced incorrectly, in my opinion. No, I mean, I don't know if it's my opinion. There definitely was a sequence where I auto-scooped. If it was played out of position, I was able to win.
Yeah, for sure. Well, sometimes, I know. Sometimes they give it to you, I guess.
You've got to take them, right? You've got to take those games.
Exactly.
And last round was versus the Buster Blader deck. Really like to that. Do its thing. Sure. I think he kept saying he was relying on seeing one of his 3-ofs. Fine. I'm pretty sure I played like ridiculous amount of ways to get to money to fiber. I didn't see those in one of my matches. Cards. I don't know. I think it went fine. I believe I would play the same deck heading forward. I'd maybe change. I don't know. It's kind of confusing because it's going to be a back and forth metagaming format where if they're playing 12 hand traps in the main, maybe I just get rid of the Jet Synchron line for something that can just do something through hand traps every turn. Seen like Zodiac builds where it's just Barrage for Trident. Sure. Cool. Invoke or something.
I definitely. I also, like, funny you mentioned that. I also saw that Zoo Eldlich build. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think heading forward, those Numeron cards seem ridiculous, but that's like a whole other thing you could talk about.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely something for another video.
Yeah, absolutely. Realistically, if I were to play the same deck again, I would cut that spell. We discussed earlier why. I could potentially maybe cut the Despots now that the hand traps have increased more for the set of Cool by the Graves. Yeah, I think that's what I would do.
All right, cool.
And the sideboard. I'd work on the sideboard. I think it's pretty bad.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said before, that would be a week by week thing. You can't exactly not set in stone at all.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't think it was the best for this tournament, especially considering there was like one Adamant player who just completely cut the Dark Ruler no more.
Yeah, it's really hard when you have such a small tournament as well, because it's like people could literally just play anything. Like, big representation doesn't mean as much at such a small tournament. Yeah, so do you guys have any final thoughts or anything you want to address, or you reckon we're good to finish up here?
I obviously would like to shout out you guys, Benji for making the deck and teaching me initially, and then Tyson teaching me as well. that actually play the game. I have not played maybe for like 3 or 4 months or something like that. Not any of the cards did. Don't really know what all the cards do, but I know them well enough to get lucky and in. So, yeah, shout out to you guys for all the help.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would shout out to obviously you boys as well, like being there and talking, even just talking through plays, talking through what is in my head, sort of like verbalizing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Establishing the proper line, optimal.
And the only helpful thing I did was tell you that you couldn't summon LP in one turn.
Yeah. Which was like, I don't know, maybe it was relevant. It probably was relevant. Maybe I didn't. I don't know if I did. Did I toy that round?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I would shout out to Kijo Collectibles as well. Many times, it's probably one of the reasons why the game in Australia is the way it is. The prices being affordable and stuff, incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess at this point it's pretty self-explanatory. It speaks for itself.
Yeah, that's it. So we'll wrap it up here. Once again, if you're going to go down to Nikidro, www.nikidro.com.au, use Gaming5 for 5% off, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.